Welcome to the deep dive. You send us your sources, and we dig into them to pull out what's really important.
That's the plan.
Today we're looking at a really tough case, quite disturbing, from Bihar in India.
Right, and it's presented almost like a TV serial episode, but based on a real event.
Exactly. So what's the immediate takeaway here? What are we seeing?
Well, straight off, the video frames it interestingly. It's not just presenting the facts of a crime, it's hinting, at bigger societal issues.
Like what specifically?
Things like hypocrisy, the vulnerability of women, especially in rural areas. It even touches on dangers related to basic needs, like sanitation access forcing women outside the home.
Okay, so that context is important.
Yeah.
And it links directly to the start of the incident itself, doesn't it?
It does. We have these two sisters, Ronnie and Gunja. They're late coming home from their tutor, Gopal sir.
And the family's first worry, it's kind of specific.
Yeah, it's about wild dogs, because the girls didn't take sticks with them. Apparently that's a normal precaution there.
That detail, it immediately feels significant, like it grounds you in their reality.
Absolutely. It tells you about their daily life, the dangers they navigate, and the fact they didn't have those sticks, well, that becomes a point later.
Especially when the police first suggest suicide.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, why didn't they take them this time?
We also get a little bit about the family dynamics. Ronnie is maybe a bit scared of her brother, Amar.
And Gunja mentions their father, Baba, isn't talking to them.
And there's this contrast between the sisters, too. Gunja is really bright academically.
Right, doing 12th grade math in 8th grade. Quite gifted. Ronnie apparently struggles a bit more.
What do these early family details suggest to you?
Well, the contrast highlights Gunja's potential, making the tragedy feel even sharper. The strained relationship with the father may be common, maybe not, but it adds this layer of tension at home.
And there are these other details, too, like their friend Kamal being absent with stomach pain.
Yeah, and Komal's mother joking about lipstick as a cure, teasing Ronnie about school. It paints a picture of normalcy just before everything changes.
Gunja also says they went to Gopal Sir's to check papers. The mother sounds so sure Gunja will ace her math test.
100%, she predicts. It just underlines that sense of a bright future.
And then just a quick mention of Kishori Kaka fixing a cart. Seems small.
It might seem minor now, but in these kinds of tight-knit community stories, sometimes those little details circle back. They add texture, at the very least.
So the girls still aren't back. The worry grows. Their uncle, Prabhu, asks about them. Notes they've been gone, over an hour and a half?
Yeah, that's when the tone really shifts, and Brajesh, the police officer, enters the picture.
Why do you think the family went to the police then? Or rather, went at this specific officer?
Well, local police are often the first call, but what's striking is they immediately accuse him, Brajesh. They bring up an old argument he had with the girl's father, Ramakant.
Which suggests maybe some bad blood already, or just zero trust in him.
Could be either or both. It certainly shows a lack of faith right from the outset.
And Brajesh's reaction? It's not great, is it?
Not at all. He denies everything, which you'd expect, but then he immediately jumps to suggesting they eloped.
And makes nasty comments about their character.
Yeah.
That feels like a huge red flag.
Oh, absolutely. It's defensive, it's judgmental, not what you'd expect from someone meant to help find missing girls. It makes you wonder, what's his angle?
Then the absolute worst happens. They find the girls from a tree.
Horrific discovery.
And Brajesh, again, his immediate reaction
Put it
is,
aside. He calls it suicide right away. But the family flat out rejects that.
So right there you have this immediate conflict. Police say suicide, family says no way.
Exactly. And the family's certainty suggests they know something or feel something that completely contradicts that initial police assessment. It immediately casts doubt on the official line.
And that detail about the sticks comes back. If carrying sticks was normal for safety, why wouldn't they have them if they were planning? Well, if it was suicide, it doesn't fit.
It really doesn't. It undermines the suicide theory significantly. It's a small detail, but powerful circumstantial evidence pointing towards something else.
Then comes the first autopsy report, and it's quite shocking.
It is. Declares suicide, yes, but then includes this claim that the older daughter was sexually active.
Which sounds completely unsubstantiated and, frankly, irrelevant to the cause of death, even if it were suicide.
Precisely. The family is understandably furious. It feels like an attempt to smear the victim's name, maybe to bolster the suicide narrative or distract.
And they refuse to allow the bodies to be cremated. stand for justice.
A very powerful statement. They're demanding a proper, credible investigation.
This whole situation, it starts getting public attention, media coverage.
Which often happens in cases like this, especially when there are clear discrepancies or perceived injustices.
And eventually, the case gets transferred to the Indian Investigation Agency, the IIA. What does that transfer signify, usually?
It means it's being escalated. The IIA, as a central agency, handles serious, complex cases, often when local handling is questioned. It suggests someone recognized the initial investigation might have been flawed, or the case needed, a higher level of scrutiny.
Okay, so fresh eyes, maybe a more objective approach.
You'd hope so. You would hope. But then the IIA sub-inspector, Dinkar, his initial stance is
Still suicide, based on that first report.
Yep, relying on that same problematic initial report. Which is concerning, right? It suggests maybe systemic issues or just the power of an initial finding, however flawed.
But almost right away, the IIA does find something major, a contradiction.
They do. The bloodstains on the clothes, initially dismissed as menstrual blood.
But that wasn't right.
No. Turns out Kamal's period was days ago. Gunja's wasn't due for weeks. It completely blows up that initial explanation.
Wow, okay. So that really highlights how poor the first look must have been.
Absolutely. Basic checks were seemingly missed or ignored. Shows how preconceived notions can really derail an investigation early on.
So suspicion starts to shift, quite strongly, back towards Brajesh, the officer, and his brother Kanhaya.
Makes sense. That earlier argument with Ramakant, and especially Kanhaya's threat, what was it? To disappear the family?
Yes, a deeply chilling threat given what happened.
It provides a motive or at least a strong indicator of animosity. They become prime persons of interest.
The tutor, Gopal Sir, he gives a timeline. Says the girls left his place around 8:30 p.m. That helps narrow things down.
It's crucial timing.
Brajesh and Kanhaya are questioned again. They deny it all. But Brajesh, he does it again.
What? Makes another derogatory comment.
Yeah, about the older girl's character. Why keep doing that?
It seems like a deliberate tactic. Maybe deflecting suspicion, maybe revealing his own biases. Whatever the reason, it paints him in a very poor light.
And the physical evidence, or lack thereof, at the scene starts screaming foul play too. The tree they were found hanging from was apparently quite high. And there was no stool, no chair, nothing nearby they could have used to get up there.
Ah, right. So logistically, suicide seems incredibly difficult, if not impossible, under those circumstances.
Exactly. It strongly suggests the scene was staged, that someone else was involved.
A very strong indicator, yes.
Then we learned a bit more about the father, Ramakant. Apparently he preferred sons, maybe he had a strained relationship with the daughters.
Which adds another layer, certainly. But the expert in the video makes a good point. Is that enough to drive two girls to suicide? Seems unlikely on its own.
Yeah, you have to be careful not to jump to conclusions based just on family dynamics, especially when there's other evidence pointing elsewhere. External factors seem much more probable here.
Agreed.
Okay, then another witness emerges. Hari Singh, a local landowner.
What does he say?
He says he saw Gopal Sir, the tutor, discover the bodies around 5:30 a.m., first one there.
Okay.
But Hari Singh also mentions Gopal Sir wasn't even home the night before.
Oh. Well, that changes things regarding Gopal Sir, doesn't it? Puts him right in the middle of it.
Suddenly makes him a much more central figure. His early discovery plus not being home raises big questions.
Definitely.
And when Gopal Sir is questioned again, his story, it's shaky.
How so?
Well, he confirms Gunja was brilliant at math. He mentions seeing her with some boy, but not Kanhaya. That introduces someone new.
Another potential lead, or maybe a diversion.
Could be. But the bigger issue is, he admits he wasn't home. Says he was visiting his uncle, but he initially lied about when he got back. Said he returned early because he was scared.
Lying to investigators is never a good look. Why lie if you just visited your uncle? What was he really scared of?
Exactly. It suggests he's hiding something. Either he saw something, knows something, or worse.
Okay.
The focus then turns to Kamal, the friend who was sick that day. Her friend, another girl named Ronnie, is questioned about Kamal's relationship with Kanhaya.
Hey, Ethan. How does Ronnie react?
Apparently very evasive, dodging questions.
Which usually means someone knows more than they're letting on. Maybe loyalty, maybe fear.
Well, whatever the reason, the call records seem to confirm there's something significant there.
Oh. What did they find?
Get this. Roughly 400 calls between Kamal and Kanhaya in the last 2 months.
400. Wow. Okay, that's a lot. Definitely suggests a close relationship, whatever Kanhaya might claim later.
No kidding. It puts Kanhaya firmly back in the spotlight.
Undeniably.
Then another piece of physical evidence surfaces, a piece of a broken mobile phone near the scene.
Interesting. Whose was it?
Ramakant, the father, initially denies it's important, but then he admits it. It was Kamal's phone.
Kamal's. Why was it broken and why did he hide it?
He says he found it after her death, hid it, and broke it himself. To hide her relationship with Kanhaya, protect her reputation.
Oh, wow. So he obstructed the investigation even if his motives were, protective in a way.
Exactly. Understandable from a grieving father's perspective in that social context, maybe, but it definitely hindered the police work. Delayed finding key evidence.
A real conflict between social pressures and the needs of a criminal investigation.
And then finally, a definitive answer comes from Delhi. A second post-mortem report.
What did it find?
It confirmed the absolute worst, rape and assault. Komal's spine was broken, Gunja's jaw broken, horrific injuries.
Oh my God. So undeniably murder, violent murder, that completely shreds the initial suicide theory and the first autopsy.
Utterly. It confirms the family's suspicions and exposes just how bad, or perhaps how corrupt, that first report was.
Which raises huge questions about that initial pathologist or whoever signed off on it.
Faced with this, Kanhaya starts talking more. He admits he liked Komal.
Okay, progress.
But he claims they broke up 2 months earlier after Gunja saw them together. He says he even got Ronnie, the friend, to help him apologize after a fight.
The timeline seems convenient, trying to distance himself from the time of the murder.
Seems like it. He still denies the kidnapping, rape, and murder. Claims he was just scared when he found Kamal's body.
His story still feels incomplete, self-serving. The sheer volume of calls contradicts a breakup 2 months prior, doesn't it?
It certainly makes that claim questionable.
Right.
Then there's Pradeep. Remember him? The guy who claimed he overheard Brajesh and Kanhaya plotting.
Yes, the one who added to the suspicion around the officer and his brother.
Well, the IIA checks his phone location to verify his story.
Right.
And he cracks.
He wasn't there. He didn't overhear them.
Nope. It admits he made it up. He was trying to frame Brajesh because of some unrelated business dispute they had.
Wow. So another layer of deception. People using the tragedy for their own ends, it just complicates everything.
Shows how careful investigators have to be, verifying every claim. Personal vendettas can really muddy the waters.
Absolutely.
And speaking of verification, they check Gopal Sir's phone location too, the tutor.
Did it match his story about visiting his uncle?
It showed he was at his uncle's, but only until 1 a.m., which contradicts his initial lie about returning much earlier in the evening.
So he's still lying, or at least still being deceptive about his movements that night? Why? What happened after 1 a.m.?
Exactly. He remains a suspicious figure, even if maybe not directly involved in the murder itself. What is he hiding?
It's still unclear.
Okay, the investigation takes another turn. They start looking into tempos, the small trucks.
Right, common transport vehicles there. Why tempos? Did they find tracks or something?
The source implies something led them that way, maybe evidence at the scene. They get a list of frequent tempo hirers. Then news breaks about a fatal car accident involving a tempo. Seems unrelated at first.
Okay.
But the driver, a guy named Manish, says he just bought the tempo recently from someone named Vijay.
Connecting the dots. Could this be the vehicle used in the crime?
That's the lead they follow. They check out Vijay.
Does he have a record?
No, background's clean. But his phone location puts him in the village on the night the girls were killed.
Okay, that's significant. Was he alone?
No. With 2 associates, Rahul and Sunil. And they all left the village shortly after the likely time of the murders.
3 men, present at the right time, living afterwards. Highly suspicious. Any other connections?
Yes. Rahul, one of the associates, is related to Hari Singh.
The landowner who saw Gopal Sir find the bodies.
That's the one. It's all getting very interconnected.
It really is. Small village, deep connections, dark secrets.
So the police apprehend all 3, Vijay, Rahul, and Sunil.
And then?
They check Rahul's call records and find a call from the local police station on the night of the murders.
From the police station to one of the suspects. That's huge. A direct link between the potential perpetrators and local law enforcement on that specific night.
Okay, this feels like the dam is about to break.
It does. They trace the call to a specific local officer, not Rajesh, it seems, but another one, and he confesses.
What does he confess?
Everything. He admits he stopped Vijay, Rahul, and Sunil in their tempo that night. He saw the girls with them.
He saw them and let them go. Worse, he admits he made a deal. Let them go. In exchange for the girls.
He handed the girls over to them.
The implication is horrifying. He confesses they, meaning him and the men, intended to just teach the girl a lesson, likely Kumal for pursuing his nephew. It sounds like some kind of warped honor motive mixed with utter corruption.
This is unbelievable. An officer facilitating an abduction, likely leading to rape and murder.
And he admits he was the one who got the initial post-mortem report falsified in Patna to cover it all up as suicide.
The level of corruption and betrayal, it's just staggering. Protecting his nephew, covering up a heinous crime he enabled.
With the police confession, the case against Vijay, Rahul, and Sunil solidifies. Vijay then confesses too.
To the rape and murder.
Yes, and his motive. Pure, unadulterated hatred and prejudice.
What?
He expressed anger that the girls were from a lower caste, furious at their perceived audacity.
So caste prejudice was the driving force behind this brutality. It's sickening.
Fueled by bigotry.
A horrific combination of caste hatred and corruption.
The video ends showing villagers confronting the accused, attacking them. Just raw anger from the community.
You can understand the rage, even if mob justice isn't the answer. It reflects a total loss of faith in the system that failed these girls so badly.
So let's try and wrap this up, this deep dive. It's exposed a truly horrifying reality. The brutal rape and murder of two young sisters.
Driven by vile caste prejudice, yes, but also crucially enabled by corruption at the very heart of local law enforcement.
The systemic issues are just laid bare, aren't they? The extreme vulnerability of women and girls, especially from marginalized communities.
Deep-seated caste discrimination, still tragically powerful, and massive flaws, potential for corruption within the justice system itself.
That betrayal by the police officer, someone sworn to protect, actively participating in facilitating the crime and then covering it up, it's a profound abuse of power.
Absolutely chilling. It undermines any sense of trust or safety.
And while this is one specific terrible case, it feels like it reflects much bigger problems, doesn't it?
Sadly, yes. It speaks to ongoing issues of violence against women, the persistence of caste bias, and the urgent need for accountability within systems of power.
It's a stark reminder that we have to confront these prejudices, these systemic failings, head on.
Exactly. This deep dive, going beyond just the surface story from the source, really uncovers those disturbing truths.
It leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How can real progress happen when biases this deep and failures this profound still exist and lead to such atrocities?
It's a sobering question. Real change needs more than just catching the culprits in one case. It needs a fundamental look at the societal structures and prejudices that allow these things to happen in the first place. Ensuring accountability isn't just about punishment, it's about prevention and systemic reform.